the J inquiry. Grooming gangs are not mentioned once. Rotherham is literally mentioned once in passing, and the scope of that inquiry was like a shotgun. What we need and what we're calling for is a rifle shot inquiry. Women and Equalities Minister from 2022 to 2024, she didn't meet a single victim of these rapes.
Will the government commit to urgently deporting all guilty foreign nationals involved? Wives, sisters, mothers, cousins, if they knew and said nothing, these individuals are just as guilty as the rapists themselves. Will the government commit to pausing all Pakistani visas and foreign aid into the country until the Pakistani government agrees to accept any of its deported citizens? This is not about Elon Musk. This is not a bandwagon of the far right. This is about the victims and ensuring swift and brutal justice is delivered to those demons responsible.
I have no doubt this bill is based on socialist dogma. It will reduce choice, it will reduce competition, it will take away parents' freedom to educate at home, ultimately, and I'm against it. And I'll vote against it, and the government will vote for it, and that's how politics in this country works. But how on earth can we look up at the screens and see children's well-being and debate and vote on that when out there in the country, our constituents are talking? Well, we used to call it grooming gangs. I think we've moved on now to mass and gang rapes. I've tried a campaign since 2012 for more truth, more honesty about what has really gone on. Although the Labour MP for Keighley, Anne Cryer, was doing this as far back as 2002. But at every attempt to try and have a proper national debate on the scale of this problem, it has been shut down. Now, we thought initially that in half a dozen northern towns there was a serious problem. Mass sexual assaults and rapes of children and young women. But recent research from journalist Charlie Peters at GB News now says he's certain this has taken place in at least 50 different towns in our country. At least 50. And that it's still going on today. I will give way.
Thank you. I really sincerely thank the member for giving way. I appreciate the need to look at these issues in the round. But does he accept that there are measures in this bill that will protect children based on what we already know? That it will help children, stop them being abused and make it harder for groomers to get access to them across this country? And that's what we all want to do, isn't it? I hope he agrees with me.
I don't. No, I don't. And whatever measures are in this bill to protect children, and we all want to see children protected, for goodness sake, no, it will not. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. The Prime Minister is doing his best to tell us there's been an inquiry, the J inquiry. Well, there has, and it's 459 pages long. Grooming gangs are not mentioned once. Rotherham is literally mentioned once in passing. And the scope of that inquiry was like a shotgun. It was to cover a whole range of areas in which children were being abused. What we need and what we're calling for is a rifle shot inquiry, one that looks specifically at to what extent were gangs of Pakistani men raping young white girls. Because ultimately, it seems to me there's a deep racist element behind what happened. Now, I might be right, I might be wrong, but doesn't the country deserve a full, open national inquiry? And I'll say this, if the government won't do this, and I do believe there is now overwhelming support on all sides of the political spectrum for this, and Parliament should not be in denial about this, if it doesn't, then we will raise the money at Reform UK and appoint independent arbiters, because we need the truth to be out there. Now I will vote with the amendment that's been put forward by the Leader of the Opposition, although I do note that as Women and Equalities Minister from 2022 to 2024, she didn't meet a single victim of these rapes and never raised the issue once. Insincere though it may be, I will vote for it, we will vote for it, but I beg those on the other side of the House to think, don't you believe that your constituents need to know the truth about this great evil that has happened in our country?
Given that the opposition amendment has been accepted, I'm not going to stand here and outline my disgust at what has happened with regard to the historic grooming scandal. The British people want answers, so I'm going to ask questions of the Labour Party, and several of them. Will the government commit to urgently deporting all guilty foreign nationals involved, including family members who were aware of the crimes and therefore complicit? Wives, sisters, mothers, cousins, if they knew and said nothing, these individuals are just as guilty as the rapists themselves. Will the government commit to stripping citizenship from dual nationals implicated and deport them as well? Race or religion must protect nobody. Will the government commit to pausing all Pakistani visas and foreign aid into the country until the Pakistani government agrees to accept any of its deported citizens that have perpetrated these crimes on British soil, and also imprisons these rapists and their accomplices in Pakistan, however they see fit? Will the government undertake a full investigation into officials who had knowledge of these crimes yet failed to act? Establish a specified task force to root out this wicked evil. Don't just fire these vile individuals, prosecute them. How many girls are estimated to have been raped? Is there a tally for the overall number of rapes? Horrifyingly, it may well be in the millions. We just don't know. How many vulnerable young girls are estimated to still be involved in these gangs? If there is no estimate figure, why not? Will a regular update be published detailing ongoing prosecutions and sentencing? Will the government publish a full nationality breakdown of those convicted for such offences, along with the location of their crimes? How many known foreign rapists per town, per region? Will they publish a breakdown of the immigration status of those involved? On what grounds were they in the UK? Do they have previous convictions? How many foreign nationals found guilty have been released but not deported? And how many re-offences... I'm going to carry on if that's right. How many re-offences have occurred since release? How many of these monsters are walking on the same streets as the girls they raped and abused? One report suggested a victim had come face to face with her rapist in a supermarket. Is the government comfortable with that? How many of the foreign rapists were in receipt of any form of state benefit? Would the honourable member give I'm going to carry on if that's right. How many released currently receive any state benefit? How many children have been born following a rape from these men? How many have been given access to the child against the mother's wishes? And how many have used the child as a route to remain in the UK? Will the government commit to preventing this in future? How many deportations have been blocked due to the rapist's right to a family life or other ECHR influences? Will the government set up a dedicated, confidential and accessible official process for whistleblowers to safely raise their concerns regarding foreign rape gangs, ensuring it is safe, secure and easy to find? Will the government release all court transcripts relating to these cases so the British people can understand just part of the horror for themselves? How many of these documents have been hidden due to the cost of release? This should not be an obstacle to transparency on these trials. Will lifelong sentences now be considered for those British citizens involved in the crimes, but also those in positions of power who acted to cover up the scale of the abuse? Which politicians, local and national, had knowledge of these events but failed to act? Again, going as far as to actively conceal what was truly happening. These are the facts that the British people want to know and the British people deserve to know. All of these questions have also been submitted in written form, and I look forward to receiving open and transparent answers. The mass rape of young white working class girls by gangs of Pakistani rapists is a rotting stain on our nation. This is not about Elon Musk. This is not a bandwagon of the far right. This is about the victims and ensuring swift and brutal justice is delivered to those demons responsible. It is about distinguishing between right and wrong.